Hello everyone and welcome to Minis on the Mind episode 6. This time we are going to be talking about the iffy subject matter of bootleg models. For those of you who are not aware, there are knockoff models, mostly from China. And that's mostly because there's nothing in China that really prevents this from happening. Whether they can acquire a model and make a mold out of it, or somehow acquire the molds, because in some cases they are molded. The official models are also molded in China. What we tend to see happening is we see cheap knockoffs of products, very often GW and Forge World products, just because, with most bootlegging and other forgery type scenarios, it's really popular and the most money-making ones that tend to be ripped off. Now, I will say this to begin with. Yes, technically, it is illegal. However, what's gonna happen basically is that it's just a negative impact on the company itself. And while I'm not directly supporting the idea of bootlegging, because if you have the choice between guarantees and with a more expensive product and the roll of a dice, I think it's safer and better to go with the guarantee and go with the official product. Now, that's not to say there aren't places for bootlegs and knockoff items. For instance, and this is not to say anything about this actual subject for war games, but there are instances where China or Taiwan or something like that will make a knockoff part or something for, like, let's say a phone. Now, if you have the know-how and knowledge, and the only way to get the specific part that might be broken for, let's say, your iPhone, is to buy a bootleg version of the product that works perfectly fine and replace it yourself, as opposed to spending $100+ to send it in and get it repaired or buy a new phone. Wouldn't you prefer that? Now, most of the time in those sort of instances, though, these items are not being advertised as official products from the company. They are being advertised as basically items that are equivalent. So I guess the ambiguity there is a little bit greater. In the instance of the bootleg model market, we look at two extremes here. We look at unofficial models that are sculpted to be similar to models that are produced by, like, Games Workshop, that you're supposed to use to replace the other models that are cheaper. Now, we do see other instances where they're not as cheap, but they're also, supposed to be the equivalents. I have seen knockoffs sold on, like, eBay that when you actually see them, they are not exactly the same as the official models. I've seen I don't remember what the actual model was called, but it was a Dark Eldar model. It was that it was that monster type thing with the 3 or 4 or 5 eye sockets. And I saw that being sold, and then I saw the actual model that was actually coming, and it was a different sculpt. There was a different amount of eyes. It was in a different pose. So it was supposed to be like a similar model that would replace the one you'd find. Now, we have also seen, and I know some of my fellow Legion of Gamza members have also seen this or have experiences with this as well. There are direct knockoffs. There are websites that sell bootleg versions of, like, the Forge World Primarchs. Now, the benefit to this is that you're getting what could be a really expensive model for cheap. The downside is that you have no guarantee on the quality. It can be very hit and miss. Now, some people have reported really good quality from the things they've gotten, and that's wonderful. But if you get something and it's really bad, well, you're probably out of the money, unless you've paid through PayPal or something like that. Now, the other side of the coin, though, is that, and this is specifically with Forge World can be very hit and miss, too. And I've seen from personal experiences that Forge World can be very off. And when I say that, when you're filling over a 3/4 of an inch gap in a manta all across the center of it, because two pieces are that much difference in size and shape, or have that much difference in length between them because of the way they fit together, and that gap's not supposed to be there, yeah, Forge World did something wrong. I've experienced this myself. I've had plenty of Forge World experiences where things didn't quite go together correctly. Now, these are fixable, and sometimes Forge World is more than willing to replace them. And also on the same note, Forge World can be very fragile. Whereas sometimes, while they're cheap materials, they can be a little bit more durable from these bootleg companies. Now, I guess really the question you have to ask yourself, though, is what place do bootleg companies have in the market? Well, I think really this is how you got to look at them. They're going to fit a very niche market, and those are going to be the extremely low-budget wargamers who are willing to take the chance. I do personally believe that the vast majority of us will want the official product. We will want to have the official Forge World models because that's a guarantee. That's, while it can be hit and miss, there is a guarantee of quality there because it is coming from the people who want a good reputation. Do you think the Chinese bootleggers care about a good reputation? I don't think so. I do also think they serve a purpose somewhat to make these companies strive harder to give you a better quality product, because if they can offer a better quality product regardless of the price, I'm going to want the better quality product. So while I don't necessarily think it is a good thing that bootlegs exist and people buy them, because it is technically illegal, there is a place for them. There is a purpose to them. And when we have the official product striving to be better than the bootlegs, and to prove that you're better off going with the official product over the bootlegs, I think the official product will win out in the end. I know these websites get shut down, but it's just a cycle of shutting down and coming back. So the real problem actually ends up being that they're never going to go away. But as I stated, I do see a purpose for them. I do see the point of them existing. And as I said, I think the official product will win out. Now, the question I want to ask everyone, and the discussion I would really like to start, is what is your opinion on things like bootlegs? Do you think they should be eradicated completely, or do you agree with me in saying that if they help the official product become better, there's nothing wrong with them as long as they're not putting the official product out of business? I'd also like to hear your opinions and experiences if you ever have purchased a bootleg model. The only time I ever have is out of a complete accident, and that was just one Lizardman model a few years ago. It was a decent quality. It wasn't great. I believe it was from a plastic sculpt from something. I don't remember what it was exactly. It was okay, and it looked almost the same after it was painted. Obviously, mold lines were a problem. Anyways, that's minis on the mind for this week, month, however often I get around to doing this, because I'm busy because of the holidays. Oh, and happy holidays to everyone out there, regardless of your creed or beliefs. There's a lot of holidays going on around this time of year, and I believe, regardless, it's a time of year that everyone should be happy. Anyways, when we come back, episode 7, I would like to talk about some of our early experiences with miniatures and this hobby, and what really made us start to love it in the first place. I will see you all then, and take care, everyone. Love you. Love you. Hello, everyone. If you'd like to help this channel and watch it grow, there's a link to the Patreon down below. There are some benefits to the Patreon, such as you're able to see tutorials and other sorts of videos a little bit early, as well as other perks. Just check it out below, and you can also see some of my goals in the near future. Everything is completely voluntary, and I still am going to try to work towards those regardless if there are Patreon contributors or not. I love you all, and thank you for even thinking about this or listening to me.